Hi, welcome back to my channel, Cook With Me, Sabrina B. So in this video, we're gonna make a pot roast. We're gonna make some beef in a slow cooker. I've got some brisket here, about 2 pounds, and as you can see, I just kind of seared it a little bit, and that's just gonna allow it to have some color. So I just have some random aromatics here in my fridge that I'm using up. I've got some thyme, rosemary, onion, garlic, carrot, and you know it. If you've been watching my channel and you've been watching these videos, you know I gotta do the soy and mustard duo. For those of you that don't know, or you're just new here, cooking with adding soy and mustard to just about anything that you're cooking really adds this depth of umami flavor. And you don't really taste mustard, you don't really taste soy, but it just adds like a depth of rich deliciousness to whatever it is that you're cooking. So these videos that I'm creating right now are really inspired by my loved ones, inspired by the people in my life who maybe the home, maybe the kitchen isn't the most calm place, isn't the most, nourishing place. It can be quite a challenge to really take care of ourselves these days, right? And I want to create content and remind you that food is nourishment, and how can the kitchen, how can it become this sacred place again? How can it become this place of nourishing ourselves and creating like calm and zen, and how can we be empowered and embodied in the kitchen? So this is why these recipes are so simple. This is genuinely how I'm cooking these days. This is how I find, like I'm creating nourishment for myself. I'm creating ease. I'm creating calmness, even for someone who worked in a very chaotic, the restaurant culture, the restaurant industry for a very long time. Many years of experience. This is what I find nourishing. This is what feeds my soul. And this video, I really felt inspired by one of my oldest friends. Her name is Pamela. Shout out to Pam. And, we've grown apart over the years, I would say, just because, she went on a path to becoming a mother and starting a family and her career. And I decided that I was just going to flow wherever the wind blew me. And I've been traveling but that friendship is very precious and very sacred to me because she came into my life at a very special moment. I was in 10th grade, and I'm someone who suffered from a lot of like the mother wound, the feminine wound. I early years had a rough relationship with my mother, my grandmothers, and just like the women in my life, and even women in general. Friendships growing up, I was always like hurt, and I always had this like really deep distrust for women. And I used to kind of find myself in like the mean girl group. I was always like getting pushed around just because like I didn't want to be alone. I just wanted friends. And so I would just kind of allow myself to be bullied by what I was calling my friends. And I remember specifically in 10th grade, I had told one of my friends at the time, I was like, look, you're not very nice to me. And I would rather just kind of be alone at this point, and rather than being treated like this. And it was like the first time I had really stood up for myself. And literally the next day, Pamela and I became friends. And it was like in that moment, we just became really close. We both didn't have the best home life. And it was like we instantly became sisters. We did everything together. And we've been able to maintain a friendship after all of these years. And so I want to say I love you, Pam. And I'm really inspired by her. She has been experimenting with raising her own cattle. She recently just butchered her first cow. And so she hit me up and she was like, hey girl, how do I make, beef in the crock pot, slow cooker beef, a pot roast? Like, do you have any recipes? And so I decided, okay, I'm going to make this video for her. And for those of you, who just want to get back to the basics, get back to cooking simply. So here you can see I've added a little bit of water. I'm adding the aromatics, the mustard, the soy, and I'm gonna add a little bit more water because I like it a little bit brothy. So I'm gonna show you now, like you can see how much water, a little bit of salt, don't forget the little bit of salt. You can see how much actual water that I've added to this. And it's not much, it's like just enough to cover. And this is gonna give enough, it's gonna make like this really nice broth. So here's like, I would say at like the 75% mark. You know, it's just starting to pull away. It's not quite done, but we're getting there. And so I cook this on high, and I put this on in the morning at like 6 a.m. And then I'm able to eat it maybe by like 2 or 1, depending on how thick the brisket is. And so here I have some small diced potato and sweet potato. And this is like a big, huge, like I guess we would say summer squash in the United States, like a zucchini. And I'm taking the seeds out because if I were to leave it, they're just gonna, like, it's basically the squash is gonna fall apart and get super mushy. And that's not what I want. So the seeds are huge, so I'm gonna go ahead and remove those. And then I'm going to I'm gonna do like a medium dice, I would say, a little bit bigger than the sweet potato and potato, just so that it like all will cook together and have like a similar texture while it's cooking and finishing with the beef. Yeah, so if you've been a part of this YouTube journey of mine, I just want to share again, I want to just really share that it's not difficult to make really nourishing meals. It's actually quite easy. And you know, how can we call in, you know, that saying, like the hearth of the home, you know, the kitchen is a heartbeat of the home. And how can the kitchen really be this space of like calm and ease and nourishment? And yeah, for those of you who are just getting into cooking, this is a really great recipe because you can make several different meals out of this. You can have this like a stew. You can eat this with like a side of quinoa. You can make tacos. And so here's the final product. See, it's fork tender and it's pulling away easy. Check out all that broth. And the first time I have this, because I will eat this throughout the week, I just have it straight up like this with the vegetables and the broth. And this is so nourishing. I love to eat this. Thank you for watching.